Welcome back to another episode of Dad's Toy Garage, and we are working on Project Judith Ann, my 1973 Toyota Celica, and we're going to get this firewall looking real sharp today in this episode. We're going to be getting into the engine bay shave now, and also going to be showing you guys the rims that I plan on running on this car and what attention they need since they're probably a 50-year-old set of rims. So we're going old school for the rims for this car. And let's get into this, let's have fun with this, and let's see what we get done. These are 13-inch Keystone Rogue rims is what they call them. They're kind of the same vintage as the car. They need a restoration. I have a chrome shop from Manitoba here. They're willing to take the chrome off of them, which will be a good start. Then I can tackle the corrosion on them, and I might mask off these surfaces. I gotta do more planning on it yet, but this is happening in the next little while. Mask off these surfaces, blast in here, clean, it'll get the texture. That's kind of the look of it once they're painted like they're supposed to be. So we'll blast it, maybe blast the back, paint all that, and then work at polishing and sanding the flat surfaces. And I wouldn't mind getting one more of these for the trunk, just so we have a matching one sitting in the spare tire holder. That would be cool. So I just finished the back side of this hood. It's been blasted and now I epoxy primed it a while back, and I've gone to block sanding this out, getting all the imperfections out of there. So a little bit down here, and up in these areas here we have some repairs, and the front had damage enough that I had to work the inner and outer layer, and now the metalworking's done, and I did the body filler on there, block sanded that. So this is all block sanded the first time. We got to get in a primer, another coat of epoxy, probably do 4 coats on there, but I'll do that after the priming part, after I get the engine bay done. Next project I have on this car is probably the last big one, I guess, besides doing the body work on the hood. This will be a little bit more work, is this engine bay. I got the engine bay masked, and the purpose of this masking is so I don't damage anything. It kind of gives me my parameters of where I'm going to keep the work in. So I'm going to scuff up against this tape, for example. I've masked off the engine cradle or the subframe and the rack for the steering system, these kind of things there. And we're going to take the body color paint up to this line here, because there's that piece that bolts on that goes across. I would like that to be body color, but this is going to stay black in here. It'll just look better through the grill, a little more depth than having body color behind. So I think I'm going to start on the firewall. I'm going to scuff it up and also do first a coat of fiberglass short strand filler, and then I'll sand that, and then I'll go into body filler after that in that area right there. I've masked off, sanded with 80 grit and Scotch-Brite to make sure we get a good adhesion out of this area here. But this is the firewall that I want flat. I've got kind of taped off on the edges where I don't want fiberglass filler, but I'm going to go over this now with the fiberglass filler. And there is the second coat of fiberglass filler. I started sanding a little bit. Pro tip, I guess, it's itchy, even the fiberglass filler. I did not realize that, and I was sitting here in my flip-flops and shorts yesterday sanding, and kind of just sitting right there, and it was itchy later. So fiberglass filler is also itchy, but I feel like this is the right route to go to give a little more strength to this area with the filler that's needed in there. And then I'll just skim it over with some body filler after. This is just to cover up the weld areas and a little bit of heat warp shrink, I guess, that was in there. But that's going to be smooth, and I don't know if I explained this yet in a different video or not, but I opted to leave all of this stuff, like here's clutch, there's a brake there, steering shaft, and this is for a couple other things. It's throttle one of those, I believe, or is it that one? But I left all this stuff here instead of shaving the whole firewall, just to keep the strength where you're going to be pushing pedals and stuff. You don't really want to be bending your firewall. This is all engineered. There's nothing on this side of the car, so to me that's perfect. It'll be smooth. Plus, with the 18RC that I'm going to be running, this is all open here like till here, so you'll see a lot of that. Might as well have it cleaned up and smooth. This area is more busy here. I didn't go full shave, but I've kind of filled up all the holes not needed, kept the ones I need, moved the battery tray to the trunk. So it's kind of like a half shave, I guess, on this engine bay. Enough to look pretty, but still be functional and easy to fix, not hiding too many things. I've moved, oh yeah, washer bottle I believe was there originally. It's now going to be in this space here like we've seen in other videos, and the spout for filling is right there. So it's cleaned up a lot, but I'm happy with it. The route amount I've taken. I have to decide too, when I'm filling these spot welds, if I'm going to seam seal these edges. I feel like it might add to the smooth look, so that's something I can think about while I'm working on this before I get to seam sealing. The firewall is now mostly sanded, and it's looking pretty good already. I've got it nice and smoothed off around here. There's a couple areas a little bit low there, and then up in here is a ridge underneath this overhang. That'll need a little bit of refining and body filler, so I'll probably give it a skim coat with regular body filler, block that out down to 220, and that'll be ready for primer. And the other thing that we'll need, I'm probably going to fiberglass this over here, and I'm guessing this piece here where I had to weld a rusty hole shut. I'm going to put a patch, or I'm going to just put some fiberglass filler there and then body filler. And the other spot that mostly needs attention is I ground off some tabs here and put holes here, so that'll get a little bit of work, and then it'll be pretty close actually. Most likely we'll need just wet sanding after we prime it, I think. I'm feeling really good about that. I think it looks pretty sweet. It's going to look good when the engine's in there too. And I got the body filler sanded out here, and it's just about done. There's a couple little things that I got to do, and we'll call that part good. Alright guys, I had to cut down one of my blocks. Sometimes you gotta get creative with your blocks. It's the longer skinny Dura block. I'm sure it has a purpose that I'll regret later of cutting it, but you can always buy new blocks. But area like this, it works really well to get in here, because as you can see it was rippled in here, and I've just been kind of block sanding that smooth. I will get a proportioning valve in here yet. I've also taped the edges off so I don't sand into what I've already finished. Works really well in these areas here, fits perfect. You also have a flat end, so that sometimes you got to get creative. I had another one here. These are door wedges for when you do door framing in a house. Victor just dropped off these wheels from Pole Plating Services, and they're aluminum, but they had all that peely chrome and corrosion behind there. He actually was able to stick them in his tank and have the chrome stripped off. The next step is the one rim has damage, and I'm probably gonna take it to Cal's custom TIG, and he was saying he could probably weld that up for me. And then I want to most likely get these powder coated black, which will get a sandblast, and then just make sure the top sides aren't powder coated so I can polish those up. And it's actually coming along quicker than I thought they would. It'll be a bit of work to polish. It's something I haven't done before, but it should look super when it's done. I just got to figure out what kind of coating would need to go on there. I've heard Cerakote makes something, so got to do a little research for that part, but I'm excited for these wheels. Got this done. I'm working in this corner of the firewall here. You can see where there's some ripple area. I'm done one coat of body filler. I've remasked it. I'm going to do another coat, and we'll get that straight. It will have clutch cylinder, brake cylinder, I think that's where they go, and steering shaft all in this area, so that'll help. There's a lot going on there, but I think we should probably still have this area as smooth as possible. And this corner is now done. There's a little bit of work in tight areas there. Not quite as much fun, but it is definitely rewarding. Just got back in to the shop now and watching a little bit of Hoonigan autofocus, and I've really been enjoying some of the cars Larry's been featuring on there. And he featured a pair of those Corollas, the rally one and the orange one. I forget the guy's name, but he's well known in the wildcard group, and it certainly is motivational to work on my project. Little shout out there to the good filming they're doing and the good shows they're putting together. Awesome cars. But now I'm going to be working on the top of this firewall. The bottom is good to go for primer. I'm going to fill each spot weld with fiberglass short strand filler and these weld spots, and then I'm going to finish it off with regular U-pull filler, and that's what I'll be doing now. Upper half of my firewall is filled with fiberglass short strand filler. I'm going to sand that down with probably 180. I finished the fiberglass filler on the top of the firewall. You can see it up in there. Now I'm going to take regular body filler to it, and hopefully this one coat is going to get me pretty close. Got the coat of filler on here now, and I'm going to sand that down with the blocks. Almost got the firewall work done. Had a little low over here that I'm working with, and I filled a couple of pinholes. I forgot to fill this area. That's got a bit of wave to it, and you can see a little bit more in there. I filled this edge, needed a little bit of work. It's going to look pretty smooth when it is done. That's pretty exciting, because once that firewall is done, that's a big portion of this ready to roll. So I did the final 220 grit sanding on this portion here up to the yellow tape, and the bottom half, like we said, is done. So that means the firewall is completely ready for primer. So that is a big step. That's close to half the engine bay. It's a lot of work with all the contours in there, more than doing this with any of the body panels. I think we'll probably tackle one of the sides next, and then the other side. Well guys, girls, thanks for hanging out with me in the shop here at Dad's Toy Garage, working on Project Judith Ann. And we got the firewall done. It's looking really good. I'm pretty curious to see how it's going to look once it's in a solid coat of gray primer and ready to sand. And those rims I'm excited about. Cal did an awesome job on repairing that piece that was chipped out of there. I guess I got some thinking to do what process I want to take, whether I go with powder coat or I have some black paint and epoxy. I could go that route. Either way, there's going to need some blasting and some polishing, etc. on that. But until next time, guys, I think we will be working on the rest of this engine bay, getting that done. Maybe something else, but I'm not sure yet. But thanks for hanging out with me, and have a good one, guys. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.